Welcome. You're listening to the Keeping Ashland Healthy podcast, a podcast production of the Mental Health and Recovery Board of Ashland County, Ohio. Thanks for joining us. And welcome back to another episode of Keeping Ashland Healthy, a production of the Mental Health and Recovery Board right here in Ashland County. My name is David Ross. I'm the executive director here at the board, and in the studio with me, Alyse Schroeder and Jennifer English. Welcome to you both.
Hello, hello.
Good morning.
We are kind of following up on last week's podcast. We introduced this concept of balance, and we talked it through, but we recognized even after our conversation and some of the feedback we received, there's a lot more to this concept of balance, and also the new position we were talking about, Jen, with community partnerships and wellness and recovery that we wanted to unpack this week. So we thought, why not? Let's do another episode that really expands on what's going on. We also wanted to recap your piece, Alyse, that you had done, and it's been published now in The Source as we record this. So hopefully folks, either on our social media or they saw it in Ashland Source directly when it came out. I thought that turned out really well. And again, we'll expand on that, but we wanted to at least acknowledge that piece that you did.
Thank you.
And I thought it turned out really well.
A matter of balance.
A matter of balance. I love it. Well, so again, why partnerships matter. So audience, most of you know the Mental Health and Recovery Board, we do not fund or we don't provide services. We fund all kinds of stuff. We do not provide services directly. We have to fund agencies that are licensed and certified, but we can't provide the services directly. So everything we do is about partnerships. So not only funded partners, but we have a lot of non-funded partners. And as we go through today's episode, I'm hoping what you'll get is that there are a lot of non-board funded partners that we want to do more with, to bring more attention to, as well as obviously our funded partners, Appleseed Catholic Charities and Acada. And again, that was one of the reasons the board created Jennifer's position, and she's going to give an update. 2 weeks on the job now, and we're going to be talking about some of those partnerships, right? And how that's going and where things are going in the future. So over the last 2 weeks, really. I said several, but it's only been 2 weeks. You've been out and about. Yes. You've been meeting with various organizations throughout Ashland County. So far, I know it's only 2 weeks, but you've been busy every single day you've been here.
You've got me very busy.
What's surprising you? What's hit you the most so far?
Well, the most surprising thing by far was how many organizations are in the county.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, I've been in the community 11 years.
Yeah.
Working with the university. So I feel like I've got a good feel for the community, but that was surprising. That was surprising. What isn't surprising, but still so great to experience was how many people, how many staff, how many people are in our organizations, and how much passion that they have. I mean, this has been the most exciting. Again, not very surprising. I mean, these people have so much passion, and they genuinely want to collaborate. Yeah. We all are sharing the same goal. We all want to help the county thrive, the community thrive. Yeah. It's great, and I mean, everybody's bringing different strengths to the table. Yeah. That's what's really interesting. Yes.
Yeah, and again, that's why I love this idea of expanding maybe our partnerships to include maybe folks that we haven't partnered with, or maybe haven't partnered with enough.
Right.
But yeah, I noticed that too, because I usually tag along in a lot of these meetings that, Jen, that we've had. And I see one of the things we noticed early on, even before you were hired, was your passion for this field. So when you talk about passionate people, I've noticed that your passion and their passion, they match, or they bring each other. I don't know the best way to say that.
That's the perfect way to, I mean, that's why I felt like this was such a perfect fit for me, is that we do seem to share the same passions, the same goals, the way that I live my life personally before I even started here. So that is exciting. Yeah. That is exciting. Not surprising again.
Sure.
I mean, I was prepared for how amazing it was going to be.
Yeah.
But, well, we'll talk a little bit more about it later when we talk about that, a balance in our lives, right?
Yeah, I think so. And Alyse, when you see, you're more my clinical person here at the board. I mean, what have you been noticing about as these partnerships, these board funded versus non-board funded, and what do you think about this concept of really elevating both or being more intentional about both?
I love it. So even though Ashland County is small and kind of rural, there are so many amazing partners, to your point. And something key about partnership is connection. There is so much connection in this community, which is so important. I think it was Gabor Mate, who said the opposite of addiction is connection. So it's just so important to have this. So the fact that we are jumping in, we have Jen on board, and she's really going to highlight and dive into the community and just learn more about these different community partners is really great. So we have our 3 funded partners, agencies that we fund. So that is Appleseed Community Mental Health, Acada, and Catholic Charities. And those are 3 amazing organizations. They provide very different services than each other, but there is a little bit of overlap, which is really great. And then there's also community partners that are not funded by us, but still so important for us as the board to know what they are and what options that are.
They're so well aligned with what we're doing.
That's it.
They are,
And again, partly why we're doing all these visits is just to let them know that we appreciate them and how they're aligned, and partly what I think Jen will be doing as she spotlights, and we'll have some of these people in for podcasts and other things is to explain to the community. So Jen and I just recently met with Lindsay over at the library. So why is reading so important to mental health? Right. So a lot of people know that, but there's a lot of people in the community who don't understand. So the ability to instill a love of reading. So for young parents to, from the very get-go, to instill that love of reading with their children. The amount of protective factors that science has shown throughout the years.
Love protective factors.
So this is what we're talking about. Again, we don't fund the library, obviously, but the library is doing critical things to help the mental health, if you will, of our community. So, and there's this example after example of this, and again, as Jen's roles continue to flesh out, and she works with you, Alyse, whether it's going to be schools, libraries, churches, employers, senior centers, recovery organization, parks. We're meeting with the parks here shortly. Civic groups. There's so many non-funded partners that we think. The community needs to know about, and they need to know about how we work together.
The connection.
And
and one of our biggest jobs at the board is really to monitor the behavioral health system here locally. And I do have a strong clinical background. So when I think of that, I do think of, kind of your basic therapy or case management or those kinds of things. But no, it really is all of these other things.
I'll tell you, and again, there's we'll talk about this later, but there's no one size fits all. In fact, we talked about that so much off air that we might even do a whole nother episode on the idea of no one size fits all. I mean, everybody is unique. They've got really specific needs, and it may be in our system, but it may be outside of our system entirely or partly. So that's why it's also important for the community and us as the board to know about. And again,
what's out there.
Again, you said it, but the more connected our community becomes, the more opportunities people have to find support. So again, I'll say that again, audience. The more connected our community becomes, the more opportunities people have to find support. So again, that leads us into this looking at the whole person. One phrase we often use is, we need to support the whole person. And what does that really mean? What does that mean?
How do we do that?
So Jen or Alyse, what do you guys think when you hear that?
What do you think?
Supporting the whole person. Well, again, there is, of course, traditional therapy and those kinds of things, which is amazing. But when you're only spending typically maybe an hour a week or an hour every other week with your therapist, what are you doing with your other time to really take care of your mind, body, and soul?
The whole person, right?
And what are the needs, Jen, besides, the formal, what other kind of needs might they have when we talk about whole person needs?
That is one of the things that I'm finding out about all these agencies and all these individuals that we're meeting with, is that it is much more than what I even, thought about. You've got your housing, right? Employment. Of course, relationships, we all have that. Our physical health, it's your spiritual life, your friends, and your purpose in life.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, having a purpose in life is something that we all need.
So
right?
important.
That we all need. Yeah,
when I was doing direct care, so often people would come into my office, and that's why I lost my sense of purpose. I don't really know where I'm going with my life, and I just need help.
Yeah. Feeling lost.
Feeling lost.
Mm-hmm. And so those connections are how we find our purpose. Again, sometimes it's not within us, right? We need outside help.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's what happens so often. We become isolated, especially in these hard times. We become isolated, and then you don't see things that other people in your life can recognize.
Yeah. And again, some of the things you're talking about, Jen, what the whole person needs, all these different areas, they're not designed to be met by our formal system, our 3 funded agencies. So many of the things you talked about, again, like housing and employment, some of those things, physical health, purpose, spiritual life, whatever, the friends, some of those things can be addressed in our system. But don't you think they're maybe better addressed by the other more natural, what we call community supports that we have? So
I like that word, more natural.
Yeah. So again, I am all about supporting our agencies doing their thing, but what we're trying to, I think, impress on the community, there's so many other entities that aren't mental health or substance use agencies that can really help that whole person, and they may help them so much that they don't really need our system, right? If they have a better sense of meaning and purpose, or their housing is stable, or their employment is stable, or maybe they're getting
You're finding ways to support your physical health.
Yes. Right? Why would they come to us, right? Those things. So that's why, again, hopefully, audience, you understand the benefit to us. We're not being selfish here, but by supporting all these other entities, our system doesn't need to be as robust or maybe as large as it is if people are getting their needs more naturally, and they only come to us when they absolutely need that. And they've tried other things, but they're not working for or they need more.
I like to think of the word like complementary.
Yeah,
these are complementary things to your life or to other things that you're doing, or amenities even. I'm staying in a hotel this weekend. I love to think about what amenities are available to me, to make things just a little more fun or easy for myself.
24/7 workout room is what I need. At least first thing I look for, I wake up at 2 in the morning. I got to make sure I got 24/7 access.
You got to get your steps in.
That's right. So I need that. And if I don't have that, I'm moving on to the next thing. Yes. I'm sorry. You distracted me, Alyse, with amenities.
With the amenities, right?
Yeah. Well,
got to keep him on his toes.
I was going to say, though, all these different areas supporting the whole person. We talked about balance so much. And I think when balance gets out of line, it's like anything else. You can think of many examples, but a tire or anything else, when the balance gets off, we notice it. So for tires, when you're driving down the road, you'll hear something, right? The vehicle feels like you can feel the vibration through the steering wheel. You can sometimes hear it on the road when your tire is out of balance. And I think it's like that with our lives, Jen, you mentioned it. And it might not even be you at first. It might be a friend or a spouse or a coworker who notices, hey, Jen, I notice you're not doing this thing that you usually do, or I notice your voice, or even the way people dress. So sometimes
your
those
appearance.
Sometimes those are indicators that maybe something is becoming out of balance.
Yes.
So I think that's important that we recognize it ourselves, but sometimes we miss it.
We can't, right? Yeah. I mean, we all know that. Sometimes you're the last person to see it.
And don't you think that sometimes if it's one area that's out of balance, if we even make a small change in that area, like everything gets better.
Absolutely.
I mean, it doesn't require, sometimes a whole lot of changes, just maybe a small change in that one area that is out of balance.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time, moderation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, it doesn't have to be huge changes. It could be small.
That leads us into this whole concept we started talking about last night. What do people really mean when they talk about work-life balance? Jen, you were mentioning are you talking about 50-50, David? Because life doesn't really work that. Like when I come to work, my life doesn't just stop.
Well, no, we talked about that this morning even. I mean, do we stop living at work? I mean, you say work and then life. I mean, that doesn't make sense. But when I said that this morning, then I thought, well, maybe some people, do feel that way. Like perhaps their work is draining the life out of them. And perhaps they do not feel that they're living when you're at work. It's taking more than it gives.
I think that's
what we need to think about.
Right?
That
vampiric reference there, I think, reflects your desire for Kuntz and King and Joe Hill novels. Jen, maybe we can reframe that in a more
You're
positive.
the one that used the word vampiric.
Well, you said the word sucks the life.
The life.
I think it is a good point, though, because if we do become out of balance, then that causes burnout.
Yeah.
It does.
And when somebody gets burned out, it can take a while to really kind of bounce back. So really paying attention to that balance, and when we start just getting a little bit off balance, instead of waiting until we can't get out of bed in the morning.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
If we can catch it before then and just do those minor adjustments, that's really going to help. And that takes intention.
Yeah.
It takes really checking in with yourself and your loved ones and people around you.
Yeah.
Of how am I doing? How are you doing? How are we doing?
Yeah.
And awareness, right?
Yeah, so that phrase, you're right, Jen, that work-life balance, that's really, people use that, but it's much more nuanced than work and life. So what do we even...
very black and white.
Yeah. I mean, there's a balance to our emotions, to our social, to our physical, to, again, as you mentioned, purpose, in our relationship. There's so many things that we're juggling, and there's so much overlap. I've said before, if we're struggling in our personal life, I mean, how does that not spill over? If we're struggling at work, or things are going on at work, or we're doing too much, how does that not spill over, right? So this is really kind of a messy area, So
And life is messy,
right?
It is.
We're all just doing our best.
Yeah. So you brought it up, Jen, about moderation. Yes. Say more about that. So why is moderation such a key here?
Mm-hmm. That's what Alyse was talking about as well. Catching those little things, or catching them before they get big, right?
Yeah.
So making those little changes before they overwhelm you, before you start neglecting your health, before you start losing all of your hobbies, or before you isolate yourself. So that's what this whole podcast is about, right? The whole Keeping Ashland Healthy, the whole organization is about, right? Finding those ways to heal yourself naturally in a way that feels good for you, that might not be right for everyone else.
Right.
But what are your find the way that you can heal yourself with things that are meaningful for you. I love when you talk about the parks, then getting out into nature. I mean, gardening, things that you just might not think about right away. Everyone thinks about, I have to work out, I have to drink all my water, those are things, of course, nourishing our body with food, but yeah, maybe I just need to go outside and sit in the sun for just a moment and take some deep breaths. So I think that those little things every single day, making sure you're taking a little time to be aware of your body and what you might need in that moment before it just gets completely out of control.
I like that because I think we had talked about this, even something that's healthy, if it becomes like so dominant, even on the surface, a healthy thing can be unhealthy if it becomes out of balance.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and oftentimes, Alyse, I don't know if you noticed that when you were seeing clients, I did so much of, if I had to nail down what the problem was for the individual that they were presenting, I used to call it an over-focusing problem. So they had taken some area of their life, whether that was a relationship, a job, whatever, and they had magnified that thing. It had subsumed everything else. It had become the big thing in their life. They could not see anything else. So oftentimes as a therapist, my job was to kind of rebalance, and try to get them to see all these other areas. But so I think that we're talking about the same thing here in our normal lives. Are we over-focusing? So again, going back to our term moderation, how critical that is, whether it's in a clinical setting, but I think just for our general audience, the idea of moderation in all these different areas is really a key.
Yeah. When we become over-focused, we lose flexibility with our thinking. It's harder to really look at the big picture also. It reduces creativity. And it also makes it hard to see other perspectives or really be intentional about our connection with other people when we are so over-focused or hyper-focused on whatever it is.
Yeah. Now I'll draw this in because Jen made this at a yoga class where, some of these strength training folks, they unpack this, Jen. So they so over focus on strength, but she says what? Like their flexibility is like ridiculous.
Terrible. Yes, you have to have the ease with the effort, right? You've got to work on both areas, right? Otherwise, you've got short muscles that are not mobile. So you must combine the strength with the flexibility. So, right, that's just a really good concrete example there. But,
people can over-focus on one, even in their physical health. They can over-focus on that one area. And then they are, I don't know if you've ever seen these, particularly, have you seen this? I've seen some of these, particularly, they do a lot of strength training, but their flexibility and mobility, just like, oh. I mean, bodybuilders are the...
that you can't use, basically.
Yeah,
you can lift a car, but that's about all you're doing.
Right.
So,
They're really fun to watch run. Yeah. It's really an awkward.
Or even, when you talk about your nutrition, you see, you can get hyper-focused on. I've seen people that, juicing. All they're going to do is juice. Yes. Obviously, you're not getting everything that you need that way as well. So, I like that a lot. Over-focusing, even on things that you might think are healthy.
And weight loss right now. Weight loss is huge in the media.
Yes.
And being really hyper-focused on losing weight. And a lot of times people who are focused on that, then that can really, go into eating disorders
really spiral.
Or some really challenging things for your body.
Well,
the focus on appearance in general.
Yes, I was just going to say, Jen and I have talked about that recently, but it's coming at young people, middle-aged people, older. I mean, believe it or not, nobody's immune, right? There's all these messaging about how we look. It's always been there, but it's with social media, it's just gotten. I think so much more intense. The messaging is just constant. You
over-focused.
Yes.
Over-focused on it.
You need to pay attention, hyper attention to the way you look. And if not, what's wrong with you? And that just leads to all kinds of, well, let's go to our next segment, which I think is fun, which is our looking ahead. And again, Jennifer, I know it's early days, but what are you most excited about as you're looking ahead to all these meetings we've already had, some of the things, some of the events? Didn't you just do something recently around art therapy?
Right. We did post something about that on our social media just recently. David and I attended the art therapy expansion program that Appleseed runs. And they used the space at the library, and that was amazing. That was an amazing experience to meet. Of course, again, like we talked about, the women that work in the program that are so passionate about what they do, and then to see the kids and interact with the kids. And I got to paint a little bit as well. That was fun.
So fun.
Oh, it was. It was so fun. So, I mean, my gosh, how much time do we have to talk about how excited I am?
Yeah.
I mean, I am so excited. Again, we've done so much in 2 weeks, but it was just the tip.
Yeah.
Just the tip of the iceberg. So many more people to meet, so many more people to connect with.
Yeah.
And for me, this is, I mean, if I may talk just selfishly,
Of course.
This is benefiting me so much, inspiring me so much, finding passions inside of me. I mean, that I knew that I had, but that perhaps had grown dormant. Me personally, I became very isolated during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And thought that was lovely. I mean, I thought that was wonderful. I'm just going to stay at home and just and hyper focus, right?
Yeah.
Hyper focus on my gardening and that and when I was presented this opportunity, I just feel like I blossomed. Well, let's go back to the gardening. I have just bloomed, and so this opportunity is allowing me to find my balance, right? My work-life balance. I am living. So that is what I am most excited about, is connecting with these people that
building the partnerships. And from kind of my perspective, I just see passion connecting with passion.
Yes.
That's it, exactly.
I love that, because, again, one of the reasons, we hired Jen was for her passion for this work, this specific work. So when I'm out and I'm in these meetings, I see her passion come out. I see my passion come out. I see the passion then of the people we're talking with. And again, every meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, every meeting we leave, everybody's feeling better about what they're doing in the future. And I like, that's a good meeting. Right?
And it does. And there it is now. Now your work is giving more than it's taking.
Yeah, I like that.
And I happen to be fortunate to have that. But if you don't, let's find a way. Let's find a way to make sure you are living every moment of your life, no matter where you are. And that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're going to find these things that can help you.
Yeah.
I love that. And you already are, but you're becoming such a good resource for our community, because if somebody calls the mental health board and says, I need a great therapist or a great case manager, we know exactly where to send them or refer them to. But if they say, hey, I've tried all of these things, nothing's working.
Right.
Yes.
Do you have ideas for me?
Yeah. I love that.
And Jen has ideas.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe my child is struggling in school, and we've gone through all of these traditional routes. What else is there? Well, I'll tell you right now, we got art therapy, you've got the equine therapy. I mean, oh my gosh, and so many things that I haven't even been able to see firsthand just yet. But
that's
school liaisons.
Yes, I mean, that is the future audience. We really, there are so many things that exist in this community, board funded or not, board funded or not, that I'm not sure the community knows about. So as we hopefully shine a light on that, again, it's not
my job.
Yeah, it's not about necessarily creating something new, but really shine a light on what's already there. And I think, in Jen's position, I think she's really going to help us do that. So we are happy to have you on board.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. There's just a tremendous amount of resources. So before I wrap with some of my fancy closing remarks, Alyse, what other things you want the audience to know about our topic today of balance and connection and partnerships and passions?
Just that it's so important, but it's also very simple. So these are things that we're talking about that everybody can do, everybody experiences, and it doesn't have to be intense or challenging or hard.
Yeah.
I think life already can be that way for us.
Yeah.
So just learning, day to day how to just get through and stay as balanced as possible.
Yes. And I was
Go
my
on.
turn.
That's
what I was going to say.
As if I could stop you. Yeah. like she's just going to bust in anyhow. So.
Bust in when you said that, that we all experience it, right?
All of
that's
us.
it. We do not have to do this alone.
Yeah.
We can't do this alone. We cannot. Great. We need other people. We need to find other people. Relationships. That's how our wellness grows. Connection and community.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's great. So again, audience, one of the biggest lessons, you heard it, we've learned is that no one recovers alone. Wellness grows through relationships. So communities become healthier when neighbors care about one another. Organizations work together. And people, are treated with dignity, hope, compassion. That's exactly what we strive to do every day here at the Mental Health and Recovery Board. We believe healthier people create healthier families, healthier workplaces, and ultimately a healthier Ashland County. So it serves the Mental Health and Recovery Board well to be invested in this health initiative, because as we do that, again, our families, our individuals, our workplaces, our county is healthier. So until next time, please, audience, keep taking these small, important steps towards health, staying connected to the people who matter most, and together we'll keep Ashland healthy. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Keeping Ashland Healthy podcast. The podcast is a production of the Mental Health and Recovery Board of Ashland County, Ohio. You can reach the board by calling 419-281-3139. Please remember that the board funds a local 24/7 crisis line through Appleseed Community Mental Health Center. It can be reached by calling 419-289-6111. That's 419-289-6111. Until next time, please join us in Keeping Ashland Healthy.